Fallout 76 is about to get what will likely be its biggest patch ever. This is for two reasons. Firstly, we are getting the Ever Upwards DLC questline that allow us to explore the ranks of the Pioneer Scouts and likely introduce several new items and weapons in the process. But even further, we also are just getting a regular patch that's adding in other things like player vending, as well as the ability to scrap legendary items for legendary script and several other balance changes. In this video, I'm going to give you a pretty comprehensive roundup of everything you can expect from this massive update that is coming out tomorrow. Even further, if you guys do want to subscribe, I'm going to try and live stream when the update does immediately go live, as I'm actually experiencing it firsthand and getting some of the footage for the eventual video on it. In this video right now, I'm going to be taking all of the information we have from Bethesda officially, from data mining that has been going on over the past few weeks, and of course actually from leaks that I have heard from certain members of the community. So the first thing I do want to talk about is Ever Upwards, the incoming DLC questline. We heard about this all the way back when we got the roadmap. It is the final DLC questline based on the roadmap. This is launching tomorrow, and actually it's something I'm pretty curious about because it was described by Todd Howard as being some of the best quests that Bethesda has ever made. And you'll see why that quote is particularly interesting. The fundamental premise of this questline is actually going to be following and joining the Pioneer Scouts. Think of these as very similar to the Boy Scouts in Appalachia. Kids used to join it and learn basic survival skills. It seems like the introductory quest here is going to be known as the Order of the Tadpole. Through this, we're going to interact with a scout leader who naturally is a robot named Jaggy, and it seems like the basic premise is to actually do various tasks to rank up from a Tadpole Scout to a Possum Scout. And by doing some of these tasks, you will be able to earn merit badges. Through data mining, we get a decent idea of some of the various activities this will entail. It seems like these will actually be started on a terminal, and then you go and do a thing. You can see ones for archery, athlete, code breaker, cooking, entomologist, which is the study of insects, herpetologist, I'm butchering that, which is the study of reptiles, hunter, mammologist, medic, and swimmer. One of the interesting ones there is the archery one. In the files of Fallout 76, there is a compound bow and arrows to go along with it. That's been there since release, and it seems pretty likely that this is when we'll actually gain access to it. There are going to be two separate sets of merit badges that you can earn. One as you're still just a Tadpole Scout, and then you actually unlock more difficult ones as you become a Possum Scout. As you actually do finish the initial quest and rank up to a Tadpole Scout, you will unlock the backpack in Fallout 76. We know there's going to be a variety of these from Bethesda directly, as well as several different skins. We don't know exactly which skins will end up in game, but we do know, or at least seemingly based on most recent data mines, that some of these will appear in the Atomic Shop. Some of the ones that seem likely for the Atomic Shop are the Nuka-Cola skin, the Nuka-Cola Quantum skin, and a Medic skin. And here's just a look of one of these skins actually compiled onto a backpack model. We also know outside of just this model, there's several other looks from the backpack. We've also seen this one, as well as through some of the promotional imagery through Bethesda, we see this other more boxy one. The visual changes outside of just cosmetic differences also might be due to the functionality of backpacks. We know at least on release, there's going to be a refrigerated version, as well as an armored version that will actually provide you with additional protection, but each of those more functional backpacks will actually have other changes to them, making it so they have less carry weight. But speaking of carry weight, it seems like that will be a stat you can modify. It looks like there's going to be 5 levels of this, from very low carry weight to very high carry weight, although in game I would expect them to have different namings than that. And it seems like these are going to range from 50 to 100 additional carry weight. We also know the backpacks will actually be usable in power armor, making them a very valuable asset. One potential way you could actually earn some of these other custom backpacks might be through spending some of those merit badge tokens. Bethesda has confirmed there are going to be Pioneer Scout vending machines where you could earn camp items and just other Pioneer Scout themed items. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe a custom bow and arrow or some of the backpacks are held in there. Also, this questline is going to take you through Camp Adams and Camp Lewis in game, but it also might take you other places that we don't know yet. There's also going to be 2 daily activities you can complete. It seems like this will likely be part of your actual ranking up process from a Tadpole to a Possum Scout. The first one is Stings and Tings, which involves you clearing out some of the bugs, as well as Operation Tidy, which actually just involves cleaning up some of the junk around a camp. And then finally, the last major piece of information we have around Ever Upwards is the event known as Campfire Tales. This is an interesting one. It seems like to some degree it's going to be an interactive minigame that you can do in Fallout 76 with others. It looks like it'll involve you actually bringing a holotape to a certain robot and he's going to tell a scary campfire story. But through this, we could also see it looks like you actually have certain choices you can enter, like yes, go through that door, or no, don't go through that door. And although it seemingly will be a verbally told story, it also sounds like there actually will be real creatures that do show up as this is being told and you can fight off. And that's honestly it, at least based off data mining and what Bethesda has said officially, which actually gets me pretty curious for this. Todd Howard called this one of the best quests ever, but it doesn't really seem like there's much story content to this. Rather, it's mostly just actually joining the Pioneer Scouts and ranking up. This makes me curious as to whether or not there's another segment here that we just don't know about yet. There's several ominous locations in Fallout 76 that recently added Vault in the top left corner of the map. Through one of the side quests in Fallout 76, you actually find out about a certain kid that was in the Pioneer Scouts and right before the bombs dropped actually was taken by Vault Tech into a certain vault. Could it somehow tie into that in one way or another? Alternatively, there also is a door at the crashed space station that doesn't really have a purpose. The TNT domes seem to indicate that people were studying aliens. Could that tie in here somehow? Although one other thing we definitely know is coming, and I'm not sure if it'll actually tie into this quest, is Arcos Pharma. Originally, it looked like this was going to tie into the Sheep Squatch questline based off the teaser map, but then they actually changed all of the locations in that, so it kind of messed up all the predictions around it. But either way, we definitely know Arcos Pharma is going to be a high-level dungeon coming to Fallout 76. Compared to previous dungeons, it seems like this is going to be a more true dungeon. It will have an event known as Project Paradise that you can consistently complete. Even further, it seems like this event might be restricted to 4 players, which will definitely up the difficulty compared to some of the other in-game events we have. The lore of the place was that basically some of the scientists here were trying to create a perfect habitat for animals, and it was this underground shelter. Without spoiling too much, obviously everything didn't work out, so now as we enter Arcos, it'll only be robots left, and they'll be requiring us to actually complete some of the work of the original scientists. There's going to be certain creatures there that will have to defend against waves of enemies. There'll also be certain phases where we inject some of these creatures with certain serums that were worked on by the scientists that previously lived there, and then making sure those creatures get to their appropriate habitats, and seemingly there'll be 3 separate habitats, and then to tend to these animals and actually feed them and things along those lines. Through this, we're also getting a new plant item known as Radkelp, and it also seems like the Bear Claw item might be implemented with this dungeon also. But either way, for those of you that were holding out for a high-level dungeon that is more of a true dungeon, this might just be what you're waiting for. Player vending is also coming with this update. The way this is going to work is at your settlement, you'll now be able to set up a vending machine and set certain prices for 30 different items. So in other words, you could have 30 items, whether it be a singular item or a stack of items. And as you actually place this down, it will create a marker on the map for where your camp is. And as people hover over that, they could preview some of the items you have for sale. Although for each item that is sold, Bethesda or just Fallout 76 will take a 10% tax. So you only get 90% of the sale price. But even further, also with this update, they're making it so camps are no longer destructible unless you're PvPing with another player. So it's not like people can just teleport to your camps and actually start breaking things. When the roadmap originally came out, Bethesda associated camp decorating, like being able to place static objects at your camp, with player vending, but we haven't really heard anything since then. Player vending ended up getting delayed, so seemingly camp decorating also, but I don't know if that's going to go live tomorrow or not. We also are getting some of the legendary vendor scrap machines. In essence, you're going to be able to actually deposit legendary items into these and get a new thing called legendary script. This is going to be a currency that you'll later be able to use at the legendary vendor, and basically depending on how many stars your legendary item has, you'll get more legendary script. So you'll get more from a 3-star item than a 1-star item. These scrapping machines are coming just tomorrow, but the actual legendary vendor is coming either on the 23rd or potentially May 16th. On the roadmap, it says the 23rd, but then there was like a newsletter that went out from Bethesda saying the 16th more recently, so I don't know if that was an accidental leak or what's going on with that. But either way, once this legendary vendor actually comes out, known as the Purveyor, we're going to be able to take our legendary script to them, and it seems like it's almost going to be like a reroll method. The legendary item you end up getting from your script is going to be random and not necessarily predetermined. Exactly how this works isn't clear, but based off what I've heard from people, It seems like it isn't a guaranteed system. You're still taking a chance, hoping you get something good. It just kind of gives you that opportunity to re-roll older legendaries. Although another facet of the system that I have been told about is that there'll be some kind of limit imposed. So seemingly, even if you do have a lot of legendary script, you won't be able to use the legendary vendor to an unlimited degree. There's another one I don't know the exact details of, but seemingly there'll be some kind of cooldown associated with it. We also are getting changes to survival mode. They're making it so now you're going to have a survival point system, and the users that actually appear on the map in survival mode are based off how many survival points they have. You accumulate survival points by just gaining experience in survival mode, but then as you kill another player, you get 75% of their survival points. I think this is going to be a positive change, but there's so many other lingering issues with survival mode that I don't think it'll actually fix the mode overall or see a huge influx of new players. Just a couple of days ago, I tried playing the mode again, fast traveled somewhere, and there was literally three separate dudes spawn camping with all of their turrets set up and their very overpowered gear. But even still, that's not all. We're also getting several balance changes. Certain weapons in the game are getting buffs, such as plasma weapons, but even further, as you actually craft cryo cells or flame or fuel, you actually now will get more per each craft. But then at the same time, explosive shotguns are getting a pretty substantial nerf. As of right now, the explosive legendary effect on shotguns gives you 100% damage increase, but following this patch, it'll only give you 20%. And then finally, we know that Bethesda is going to be adding display cases. It's basically going to act like display cases in some of the previous Fallout games. They mention how you could show off bobbleheads, magazines, or weapons, and that'll be coming in the weeks that follow patch 9, which is going live tomorrow. But otherwise, that's actually it. Everything I just talked about in this video is all we know about the future content of Wild Appalachia, and even some other stuff that hasn't been explicitly confirmed, but that we do know through data mining or potentially even through leaks. So we're getting to the end of Fallout 76's first DLC wave. Although, like the first time around, there were certain things that weren't explicitly stated on the roadmap that did end up getting released, such as the Burrows and Sheepsquatch. They both just kind of showed up one day. So I'd expect over the next 3 weeks or so, we see the actual official updates, but then I'm sure Arcos will pop up one day, and then maybe even something else. But either way, hopefully you found this video informative. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And tomorrow, I'll be bringing you my actual coverage of what we end up getting. But with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.